It's happening and it's going to continue to happen much quicker than I think any of us have anticipated. Articles like this, you got to listen to what they're saying. They're literally telling people what's going to come. Articles like this are exposing the truth, in my humble opinion. This article is titled, Banks. I've been talking about the banks for years, have I not? Banks are the missing link in cross-border digital wallet adoption. That comes with everything. You can't have the digital wallet without having the smart contracts, without having the low fees, without having the extra mechanisms. It's all tied together. But see how they try to just give you a piece? The deception is always going to be there. They don't want you too bullish. They don't. But it doesn't matter that they gave a little bit, because we're wise enough to understand that all of these pieces come together. You cannot unwind it. It just doesn't work that way. Now, we've had the BIS talking about the implementation of DLT technologies. They worked with a lot of them. They worked with Ripple before. They've worked with R3. They've worked with Stellar. They worked with a cadre of these bank coin companies. We know that about the IMF, worked with Ripple before. We know that about the ECB, Bank of England. I can go on and on. Bank of America, Santander, HSBC, SBI, boom, 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 boom. They all have something in common. They've all worked with, at one time or another, to different degrees, with the bank coin companies. And who's about to be unleashed? The bank coin companies. Why is this article coming out right now? We always have to ask that question, because it takes the mind down a necessary path of inevitability. Why now? Why not last year? Yeah, I'm saying it again, because every time we see something like this, it must be questioned, because there's a reason it's happening. It exposes the cause for this effect. This is coming out right now because they know DLT is about to be unleashed. It's about to take over. The banks are the way. But if the banks are the way, folks, you can't get around it. We're going to take that bank money. There's no way around it. If that bank money floods in from interbank payments, and that's what they really, really want, I'm telling you right now. Now, they have to tackle this aspect. Don't worry, I'm going to read a little bit of the article. They have to tackle this aspect of the digital wallet thing, because the customers are going towards digital wallets. They're going to tell you in this. Don't worry, we'll get to that. The customers are going towards digital wallets more than they're going towards any offering from the banks. They've had a problem retaining customers. They've been getting pummeled by the money market funds. Okay, they need a way to compete. The banks are only good at keeping their facade, all right? They're only good at appearing to be strong, at appearing to be in a good position. All the while, unrealized losses are unbelievable. The commercial real estate problem still hasn't been solved. They're hemorrhaging customers. They're getting sued left and right. The regulatory agencies have turned on them. They're in the worst position of all time. And guess what that means? That means that in order to survive, we go back to what the BIS was saying. They need a flotation device. They need a life preserver, something to rescue them, get them over the finish line, get them to the finish line. And that's DLT technology. And it will be in combination with AI, because the financial industry has made it clear they want AI. That's why all these bank coin companies are in a rush now. They're all rushing to implement AI technology. Do what you have to do to get that bank money. That's all I'm saying for the companies. Do what you must, all right? And do a good job, by the way. But now, so they're declaring it's the missing link. The banks. I told people this. And that's why I said a long time ago, way before Chainlink or Solana started becoming bank coins, I said, go back 2-3 years ago in my videos, you're going to hear me say this, okay? I said, if these companies want to reach the peak of success, they're going to have to become bank coins. I said it. And now you see it's true. Why? Because according to them, banks are the missing link. Banks are where the big money is. If you're trying to make a lot of value, that's where you get it from. A vulnerable, weak industry that literally needs your technology. But wait, let me read this. Let me not get too far. I don't want to get too excited. All right? Because I have so many thoughts. I could talk for an hour, like I used to. Remember my longer videos? I've been keeping them shorter. All right now, so don't let me talk too much. Now, it says this: the world of cross-border transactions is rapidly, I've been telling people this. The acceleration is visible now. See, before when I was saying it was like I was kind of alone in my observation, now that there's articles coming out all over the place and these people can't keep their mouths shut, they're doing interviews all over the place. Now it's visible what's happening. No one can deny this acceleration to the inevitable point of the golden age of crypto utility, DLT utility. Can't deny it anymore. But they're telling you it's happening rapidly now. So I'm no longer alone. But it says the world of cross-border transactions is rapidly changing and growing. Digital wallets are emerging as consumers' preferred method. Listen to this next part. Outpacing digital wallets, outpacing traditional bank transfers and money services. Listen, folks, the future is DLT-based digital wallets. How do we know that? We just saw a multitude of problems with the, what do you call that thing? The e-money thing that they had, that legacy system thing that the banks had. It's like an account-to-account type thing. They've been having massive amount of problems. They're in a massive amount of trouble. They even had to go to court multiple times. What is that thing called? I can't even remember. I don't know. It's like Zelle and all that. There you go. Thank you. Oh, I remembered. All these e-money things have been having problems. Zelle, they've been in court multiple times. The government is on their neck. The banks trying to create this separation from the liability of what has gone on with the e-money services, while at the same time being the implementers of such technology, which makes absolutely no sense. You've had the whole Cash App things and the glitches happening with Cash App and money going here and there. Nobody knows where it goes. Then they want the money back. Then the people have to, there's been multitude of problems. So I think across the board, what we've been seeing, that is a thing of the past. All right. They're moving on to DLT based systems. This is why you have implementers of e-money systems and electronic money systems. According to the BIS, e-money systems and digital systems are two completely different things. They established that about 2 years ago, okay, in documents that are easily found. So I'm trying to keep all my thoughts together. I have so many thoughts, folks. So now e-money is a thing of the past. Digital wallets, DLT-based wallets are what they want. And once again, this is why you see Bank of America, who is one of the biggest supporters of e-money like Zelle. They've been shoulder to shoulder with Ripple for years, praising Ripple and XRPL for years. There's a reason for that. That's the next logical step. Let's keep going. It says this shift isn't just about convenience. In fact, it reflects a fundamental change in how people send and receive money across borders. We've heard that before. Let's skip a little bit down here. So we're not preaching to the choir. I think a lot of us are very knowledgeable on this. It says, however, financial institutions have been slow to integrate digital wallets fully into their cross-border payment systems. Collaboration between FIs and fintechs could unlock further growth in the innovation space, which we know is about to happen. That's why this is being written. 2025 might be the year that DLT utility goes absolutely ape or wild. And if it's not 2025, then I expect to see it in 2026. There will be no more or very, very few blockades for this technology, especially as the U.S. becomes more technology friendly, allegedly. This is what they're claiming they're about to do. If that's true, a flood of capital, not only from the banks, from investors who've been on the wing and just watching from a distance, from the cash pile that's on the side. There's so many different pools of capital that if this happens, can, and I believe, not financial advice, but I believe, will flood into crypto, into the top projects. Let's make that clear. The top legit projects where you can visibly see that they've been working hard, making partnerships. They have a sound, tested technology. Ones like Solana, Chainlink, etc. There's other ones I don't cover. That's up to you all to look those types of things up and decide for yourself what you want to do. All right, I just give examples. So now it says here, inside, quote, global money movement, how digital wallets are transforming cross-border payments. You'll discover first bullet point, why many consumers prefer digital wallets. And they must see, for a long time, the banks behave like they didn't care about their customers until they start losing them. Sometimes you take things for granted. And once they start losing them, then they felt the pain of such a thing. And now they have to work hard to try to figure out how to get them back. Customers are not coming back. Why would they? Like if you can get more yield having your money in a money market fund or a money market account from a NBFI or a cash sweep account or in crypto or anything else. Really, the banks are completely inferior. So they must congeal with this technology and hand that money over. Simple as that. It says here how consumers are leveraging digital wallets to send smaller value, more frequent remittances, making cross-border payments a routine part of life. It's not just cross-border payments, though, is it? No. These banks are going to use the technology in every possible way, on a local stage as well as an international stage. They will use the technology for everything. And let me tell you something else. Now that there's this whole big push for transparency, and they set the stage for this in 2024 because they took the banks. All those big banks have been to court. I showed the articles. They've all been in trouble, especially the ones that talk the biggest, like they're so secure and crypto is bad. They've been to court multiple times for violating certain regulatory legalities. Okay. And that was to set the stage for this big push of transparency that's going to happen. Now, the people want to know, the people in charge want to know what's going on inside these banks. All right. So blockchain is going to help with that. Now, they don't have to be on a public blockchain. They'll probably be on a private, but it doesn't matter because once those records are made, they are permanent and they can be accessed. All right. And that's what the so-called powers want. And so it continues here. The interoperability limitations in hindering smooth cross-border transactions, particularly for those sending money to multiple countries. Yes. So we talked about this before. They lack interoperability, the banks. Hence why Ripple is coming together. Well, first of all, let's make it clear. With RippleNet, you're going to achieve amazing interoperability. Ripple also acquired that particular company. I forgot what his name was. It was out of Switzerland. That extends their true global reach. That's number 2. Number 3, this is why you're going to continue to see collaboration between Ripple, Hedera, Cardano, and I think Chainlink was in there to some degree. But what you're seeing now in those partnerships coming together, that's only going to grow. That's going to grow because they know the time is near for domination. And the best way to dominate is together. You're stronger together. You think they don't know that? You think they haven't seen that super old image of one, bamboo stick getting snapped in half or one twig getting snapped in half? Then you put a bundle of twigs together and it's very difficult to break, if not unbreakable for the average person. You think they haven't seen that? That thing has been around for a long time. That mindset has been around for ages, of course. So they're going to band together. And we see it happening right now. Lehman Bear says he's going to work with Garling House and Ripple. Ripple's going to work with Hedera, Cardano, Charles Hoskinson. And that's why they're coming out directly. That was the reason for that. They could have sent anybody out to say, hey, we may work together. No, the leaders and some of the creators of these hash graph, these DLT chains came out themselves. That was to send a message that you and I know it's serious that they're going to work together. And that is not going to be small. That is going to be big enough for the creators of these things, the leaders of these things to take their time out of their schedules are insane, folks. Their schedule, I'm going to tell you right now, getting older, you want to start pumping the brakes a little bit and relaxing. They can't do that right now. So when they take time out of their schedule, it's serious business. That means there's a lot of money on the line. On the line, I'm telling you. They know it. They know it. So that was their way of letting people know this is serious. Next bullet point. So if you pay attention to the stream of thinking in a lot of these recent articles, you can see that they're pretty much telling the people, in my interpretation, they're ready to go all in. They're ready to make the biggest push ever that we've ever seen when it comes to DOT technology in a global real world setting. All right. So I mean, how do you get around a flood of value? You're talking about value coming from retail, value coming from the big companies, the huge asset managers are in on it in every possible way. Think about it. Think about all the different ways. I'm trying not to hit this microphone because one time I hit it and it shut off and the video didn't have any audio and it was a terrible thing. Okay. I don't have a lot of time in the day to spend on these videos. I'm just saying. So I got to be careful here. But anyway. The stream of thinking is they're about to make this big push. So think about all the different ways that money is coming into DLT technology. Even when you think about like NFTs, etc., there's ways that haven't even been actuated upon, like RWA. That's to come. But even if we negate RWA and we just take the current ways that money is flowing into, and going to be flowing into very soon into DLT technology, it's unbelievable what's going to happen to these prices. Hence why I believe a lot of these big timers are very bullish on DLT technology now, because it's undeniable. They can't deny it anymore. Let's see. They ended off with something interesting here. It says, ultimately improving the interoperability of digital wallets. I don't know why I have my hand just here like this. It's just ultimately improving interoperability of digital wallets, streamlining the user experience, and addressing the needs of both consumers and businesses will be the key. Okay, so this is the part I wanted you to hear. Will be the key to unlocking the full potential of digital wallets and global money movement. Right there is, in many of these articles, they're saying the same thing. So everything's accelerating rapidly. That's one variable. And apparently they all want to figure out how to, in this rapid advancement of the system and deployment and development of the system, how to unlock the full potential, which means what? Let's boil it down to its essence, which means they're moving quickly to go all in on the technologies, to fully utilize the technologies. So then the only question to a good researcher is like, what's the timeline now? Everybody's going to have a different timeline. And we've learned we can't trust what they put out there. They say 3 to 5 years, then they push it back a little bit. Something else happens, 2 to 3 years. We can't trust their timelines, although they can be interesting to look at. Okay. So then it's just up to you and me to have a personal timeline. It's up to you. So I'm already calculating in my mind. I'm just saying to myself, I'm adjustable on the timeline and I'm watching them. If things speed up, then my timeline gets shorter. If things slow down, my timeline gets a little bit longer. It makes sense, right? I mean, let's go by what's really happening. We can only go by the evidence that we're able to collect and actually observe, right? I mean, it's just a scientific way. All right, so now let's move on from there. All right, I'm gonna skip the RLUSD article. That whole first segment, I think, encompasses all of the bank coins, right? And their potential and their possibility of accessing an immense potentiality, right? So now we're actuating upon immense potentiality. So now this article here, that was my elbow, by the way. Listen, I don't know if you hear that because somebody else be like, wait, what was that? What was the alpha in the back? What was that? That was my elbow sliding on the desk. Okay. That wasn't something else. Bitcoin ETFs surpass $125 billion. BlackRock's IBIT ranks 31st worldwide. Listen, Bitcoin, do your thing. But let's read this little bit of article here. This little tidbit here. Bitcoin ETFs accounted for 6% of all ETF inflows from January 1st to the 24th, amassing over $4.2 billion in investments. Why do you think it's heating up? Why do you think Bitcoin's doing so well? It's down a little bit now if this is accurate. It says it's red at $101,671 if this is accurate. Sometimes these websites don't upload, and give you the current price, but you can check that out later. Well, in the current price of Bitcoin, the U.S. spot Bitcoin exchange traded funds have crossed a significant milestone, showcasing growing institutional adoption for the world's cryptocurrency. They're trying to get in position. They know what's coming. The nations always lag behind. Asset managers are not dumb. They're saying, listen, we're going to get in position. We're going to collect as much as we can. If we can crash the markets a couple times and get things for cheap, then we will. I'm speaking like I'm an asset manager, right? That's what their thoughts are. That's what I'm seeing. So they'll do that if they can't get it for a little bit cheaper. They're like that. Before it really explodes, that major explosion, I believe, is yet to come. And I think there's a few. I could be wrong. This is not financial advice. I'm just a humble researcher. But I believe there's going to be a few explosions. The milestone, and you don't have to agree with me. You do not have to agree with me. That's perfectly fine. I love that we're all different. The milestone comes just over a year after they debuted for trading on January the 11th, 2024. The spot Bitcoin ETFs amassed $4.2 billion worth of inflows. Okay, then they repeat themselves again. This is why I'm suspicious that some of these people are using AI or something. Why would a person repeat themselves in an article? You can clearly read what's being written unless you're not. I mean, I don't know. I just crossed my mind. And let me tell you something. I don't want to read this is just how I feel. All right. You don't have to agree. I don't want to read AI articles. I don't. AI lacks a lot. Okay. It just does. It's nowhere near replacing a person and how entertaining they can be, and the abstract thinking that some of us enjoy reading from people and putting different pieces together, and how we have a unique way of thinking and speaking. AI does not replace that. I don't want to read an AI article. I'm just saying, this is how I feel. Do I utilize AI from time to time? Yes, for research, not for this research. Listen, my majority of research is not crypto. It's not. Man, if you see my research, man, listen, I do a lot of research, folks. This is literally what I do, literally. But crypto is not the bulk of my research. It's not. But so I use AI for other things like that. If I need a historical text, if I need to pull up a document from a long time ago or something like that, that's very difficult to find. I can't find it on Google or something like that. That's when I'll utilize AI. And not all of them are great either. Not all of them even help with that. Sometimes there's documents that have been deleted from the most of the internet. I'll use a certain specific AI to find that particular document. Things like that. But not to write articles. And so anyway, so now, I like to be balanced. So I told both sides. I told why I don't like it, and then I told that I also use it a little bit. But now for things like articles and information on current things like crypto, which is very, very dynamic. And you have a dynamic, very wise audience putting eyes to stuff. So anyway, so now this is interesting. Strategic Bitcoin reserve, not only for countries, but for protocols. It says nations, companies, and blockchain protocols consider Bitcoin reserves as a strategic asset, but there's game theory hiding behind the decision making. It says here, Bitcoin's status as a store of value is now firmly established. Okay, we know. I'm gonna skip past these sections where they're preaching to the choir. I just need new, fresh information. It says it's not crypto without game theory. The fun here is that nation state SBRs are inevitable. The more U.S. debates and evaluates an SBR, the more seriously other nations, and that's the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Okay, they're using that acronym here. The more seriously other nations take the idea of a U.S. SBR, which in turn means other nations start accumulating Bitcoin first on the non-zero chance the U.S. adopts an SBR. This is where the game theory comes in. If other nations wait for the U.S. SBR first, then it will be too late. That's what I'm saying. Everybody's like piling in before it really explodes. Given the amount of Bitcoin needed to be meaningful to the U.S., it's better for other nations to start accumulating a small amount of Bitcoin first. Yeah, that's true. I agree with that. As the U.S. adopts, imagine all of us who were in super early. Imagine where that price is going to go. I'm just saying. Imagine. They're scrambling to get in now. Where were they in a bloody bear market, right? See? This is why it doesn't pay to do the same thing everybody else does. Walk the same path. Okay. There used to be an image of a individual. It's an ancient image, and they would play like a flute or something like that. Is that the Pied Piper? And all these people would follow behind him, but the Pied Piper was going off of a cliff. Another image, I don't remember where I saw these in my youth. It's an image of a person. They call the person the fool. And I think, am I remembering wrong? The fool walking off a cliff and people following him also? Or is it only the Pied Piper? I think the fool is also heading towards the cliff, but you never actually see the fool go over the cliff. Anyway, all these symbolic things are very, very interesting. But it says this. The SBR game is afoot. El Salvador's adoption of Bitcoin as a legal tender led to gross domestic product growth, which is great for everybody to see. Brazil and Japan are both considering Bitcoin reserves, while China and Russia, despite being publicly anti-crypto, reportedly have had a private change of heart. They love money and power. They can't be left out. And not only that, appearance is everything to these countries, to these governments. It's everything. One does a so-called space mission, and the other one's like, I'm going to do a space mission too. They can't. They want to one up each other. It's just, I don't know. It's some type of, it's this human thing. They like to compete. Should nations need a more significant case study, they need only look to the corporate sector led by visionaries like Michael Saylor, CEO of MicroStrategy. Okay, so I'm going to leave off there. So everybody's trying to get into the Bitcoin game before it's too late and Bitcoin explodes, making life-changing gains again, right? That's what's going on. We'll see if it takes place or not, okay, as the observers that we are. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.